some of you know, my son announced last August to his father and myself that he wanted to ask his longtime girlfriend to marry him. And we were delighted and thrilled and said, why? I mean, not why. I mean, that's not we asked, what about her? Because they had been going out for 5 years, and it was no great surprise to us, and we were delighted. But he said, well, we have the same values, the same family values. And it made me start to think, what family values? What did we give to him that was similar to Deirdre's, that could be identified as values? I mean, I gave him my brown eyes. His father gave him high blood pressure. We have, as far as his DNA, I mean, he looks like a Milliken baby. Eventually he'll receive a little silver snuff box that has been in my husband's family for years. If he's lucky, his wife will get my silver tea service. I'm sure she'll be thrilled. But what values have we given him? And what values will he give to his children? I began to think, was it the fact that we're hard workers? Is it that we like to be outside a lot? Is it honesty? Honesty is a very important thing in my family. It was in my... What could be identified as a family value that belonged to the Hagues that matched Deirdre Eric's family values as well? I don't know. And I will probably begin to recognize it when they start to have their own children. And I can say, oh, maybe that's what I gave him. Maybe that's what he was talking about with a family value, with a tradition, an inheritance, a bequeath. These little people are about to join the Christian church. And our readings after Easter are sort of the beginning of the DNA trail of the Christian faith. Prior to the crucifixion, we hear the stories of Jesus, and those are Jesus as a human. And we certainly model ourselves after that. But after the resurrection, when Jesus begins to appear, he imparts to us the beginnings of the Christian faith. The values that will be handed down and bequeathed to all of us. So you have the story of doubting Thomas. And the reception that Jesus gave to doubting Thomas was one of peace and forgiveness. I'll take that when I'm doubting. That God will understand and envelop me in his peace. The first words that Jesus says to the disciples is, peace be with you. I'll take that as a church value. That we are a people of peace, a people of serenity. These are things that belong to our DNA. These are things that we have received and been bequeathed by many times. But what would be St. Margaret's values? Because these little people, both Louis and Skye, are becoming members of St. Margaret's. I've had a fascinating time asking people, what would you say in one word are the values of St. Margaret's? And I think the best word that I've heard was was from Mike Wynn that said generosity. We are a generous parish. We have received a great abundance of heritage, a beautiful building, a property. Thanks be to God, 19 years ago, the Halls gave us an endowment. But with all those gifts, those DNA, those values, what we do with it indicates our generosity. We just finished the grant cycle and have discerned where to give $135,000, which comes from the endowment. And groups in Anne Arundel County, groups in the United States, groups in Africa and in Brazil, all will receive part of our generous gift that we received from the Halls. We are a generous parish. When people say to you, where do you go to church? May it be. When you say St. Margaret's, they would say, the generous parish. Because we are generous not only with our time and our talent. Denise Peach gave so much time of her own for the Lighthouse Shelter dinners, which continue to tonight in a great tradition. So it's not only our money and our time and industry, but it's also how we care for each other. We're generous with each other. We give of each other to each other. That is perhaps one of the greatest of the many different gifts that we have. It's that we hold each other in a generous hug, caring, compassion, all of which makes St. Margaret's a generous place. So welcome, Sky. Welcome, Louis. Sky, Louis. Sorry. Welcome to St. Margaret's. It is a generous parish. Amen.